Good morning. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the dangers in retirement. A lot of times we don't think about retirement as a very dangerous place or state to be in. But it can be. Because see, with retirement comes freedom. The ultimate freedom of time. We no longer have anything to lock us down to a time, to a place, or in some cases, even to a community. So what we have to start to do in retirement is think about how we can structure our day, how we can construct our lives. Retirement, see, it's not for everyone. If you find yourself happy at work, content, you don't need to leave. Don't feel like this is for everyone, because it's not. If you're not great with constructing your day, if all you're good with is being told what to do, then retirement, it's definitely not for you. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes work can bring purpose to our lives. Purpose that others have trouble finding in retirement. See, most of the time, well, I should say for most of our lives, we've been told what to do. And now we got to kind of figure that out on our own. For me, it was easy. I got to a place in my life where I felt like I was not able to contribute in the way that I had wanted to. The job no longer looked like the job that I had signed up for. Financially, I was ready. Rather than put together a constructive dismissal case, which can be quite expensive, I felt like it was time to go. And the problem again here is for a lot of men, their job is really their identity. I hate to sound old-fashioned here, but we still judge people in the same way. Women are often judged for their beauty, and men are judged for what they do. It's just simply the way of things, and I don't know if that's ever really going to change. So what you have to do to begin this journey of retirement, whether you're about to go on it or you're already on it, is really stop and figure out an alternate identity for yourself. For me, it was starting to prepare great meals around the home, to find, things to fix or repair inside of the house. Perhaps it's a hobby, or like I mentioned before, perhaps it's working for your church. But find that alternate identity. And if you can find that parallel identity before you retire, the more successful your retirement will be. And that's the real challenge here. Like I said, so many men are put in a position where they're the main breadwinner for their family, and that all they do is construct this identity for themselves that is their work. That's the only identity that they have. Perhaps the reason why men die sooner is not just because of their biology. It's because when they leave work, they no longer have a sense of purpose. Mentally, they've already clocked out. Their life is essentially over. So if you're a young man or an older man watching one of my videos, just know that you're not alone. I never considered myself really a traditional dude. I always thought that I would have flexibility, in playing a different role when I would retire. But at the end of the day, our culture is so strong that it really locks us into, what society wants us to be, especially for men. we haven't really gotten much of a chance to evolve. Women, they've had a chance to evolve, to play different roles. And unfortunately, society does lock them down to some of those traditional roles still. Nurturing for the children specifically goes to them, having to look a certain way, having to, show a certain aesthetic out in public. But for dudes, we really haven't had much of a chance to grow. We've been removed from film as the main hero. Where do young men get their guidance from nowadays? Have you noticed that most of the younger men are not like the men we knew from the past? It's so bizarre. It's like we're bringing them up to be something that is so different from what our culture expects from them. It's like we're pretending like we've had a chance to grow as men. But in actuality, society still has the same old expectations for us. And see, that's a real danger when we go to retire. Most women, they're, I hate to say it, but they're more social than we are most of the time. And our culture promotes that, that interconnectedness. We're really more like a lone wolf, if you will. When we lose our job, or when we decide to leave, we are leaving behind our identity, our cultural mythology, which can, in some ways, be very dangerous to do. So again, I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked in some of my other videos. What other parallel identity can you create for yourself before you retire? If you're one of my younger male viewers watching this, what kind of identity can you construct for yourself along this journey, along this way? If you're one of my older viewers, again, I would highly encourage you to figure out what your retirement life will actually look like, what your purpose will actually be, because it will be scary leaving work, no matter who you are and how much you've saved. No matter when you decide to finally pull the plug, it's going to be a challenge. So as always, leave me some comments below and how you're going to construct your new identity before you retire. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, of course. Check out some of my other videos. I hope they're of some benefit to you. And again, as always, see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.